Hello.
Hello.
Welcome, everyone.
Hi there.
So excited to be here today. So today we're here to discuss some of the new exciting improvements, services, integrations that are available for Esri developers. There's been a lot of new stuff that's come out in the last few months. If you were at DevSummit, you heard about some of it. So yeah, we're going to go into just a bit of detail about some of those new cool features. So before we get into it, we are going to go ahead and go around and introduce ourselves. And while we do so, I see we already have someone telling us where you've come from. So if you would like to throw it in the chat, let us know where you're joining from. We would love to know. I'm currently in Alexandria, Virginia. My name is Courtney, and I'm a developer advocate on Esri's developer experience team. And we're just going to say a fun fact. So my fun fact is I am the oldest of 7 kids. I have 3 younger brothers and 3 younger sisters. And my youngest sibling, he will be 18 in like 3 weeks or so, 2 weeks, something like that. So he's graduating high school, so it's crazy. All right, so that's it for me. I'm going to pass it over to Raul.
Hello, everyone. I'm tuning in from Spain, southeast of Spain, Almeria. I work with the rest of the people in here. I'm part of the developer experience team. I'm on the developer relations team. My fun fact for today is talking about families. I have 2 beautiful sons, 6 and 2 years, and a wonderful wife that support me every day working here from my room. I pass over to Tech, welcome Tech.
Yeah. Hi everyone. I'm Tech Chetri from Calgary, Canada. I recently joined the Esri team as a GIS developer during this summer. And I'm also doing my MSc in geoscience at University of Calgary. And today's my fun fact is I used to hate cold weathers, but I ended up in Calgary. I pass over to Ted now.
Hi there. My name is Thad Tilton, and I'm on the ArcGIS Maps SDK team where I do the documentation, helping create the API refs and guide doc and all that good stuff. I'm here in Redlands, California. I've been here for about 25 years now. Originally from Chula Vista, California, down the road. I think my fun fact for today, I help with the Esri Intern Hackathon every year, and it's a lot of fun. It's cool to see all the enthusiasm and energy from those. I guess I can call them kids. I'm old enough to call them kids. And so that's starting up soon. We already have interns on campus, and we're starting to plan the hackathon, and I'm really excited about that. So let's hear from Amy.
All right. Thanks, Dad. Hi, everyone. My name is Amy Neeson. I'm the Developer Community Manager. I've been with Esri for almost 16 years now and located in Southern California. And speaking of family, I've had my my beautiful truck now for 25 years. So that would be my fun fact. So yeah, that's it. And I'll turn it over to Al.
All right. Thanks, Amy. Alan Laframboise. I'm the product engineering lead for the developer documentation for the developer experience team. So I'm out of Durango, Colorado. I live in the foothills at about 7,500 feet. And my fun fact is I like to spend time above 10,000 feet and more times than not. So yeah, glad to be here today and excited to share with you live some of the exciting new releases that we have and some of the new functionality that's available for developers. So I pass it on to George.
Hi, everyone. So my name is George, and I work with Al on the developer documentation for the website. I am responsible for all of Esri's open source documentation. So I work with libraries like Leaflet and Cesium, OpenLayers and MapLibre, and I'm based out of SoCal right now. My fun fact is that even though I'm young, I've been programming for a long time. I think I started when I was like 10 years old, and I wanted to learn how to install mods in Minecraft. And ever since then, it's downhill, I guess. So no, but I love coding. And I think that's everyone, right?
Yeah, that's it. Awesome. Raul?
One thing is, sorry, I was on mute. I wanted to say, because Tech didn't say so, I highly recommend you, all of you that like learning about Leaflet and also open science. He has a YouTube channel and some Udemy courses that are awesome. So
Oh,
highly
thank you for mentioning Raul.
welcome.
Awesome. Perfect. Yeah, definitely check it out. All right, so I think we are going to start off with Amy, who's going to show us some of the Developer Summit videos that are now publicly available, proceedings, and a little bit about Developer Day at UC.
All right. Thank you so much, Courtney. So yeah, part of my role as a developer community manager is helping to coordinate and organize part of our developer events and activities, one of which, a very large conference for developers, would be our Dev Summit, which just happened in Palm Springs, California in March of this year. So we have been anxiously awaiting for our videos to become available, and they are now. So you can check out our plenary videos here on the main homepage in Kaltura, our media space, Esri media space, and the URLs there at the top. You can also navigate to 130 of our videos here that you can see and navigate and filter through if you're interested. We also have available, as Courtney was mentioning, we have our proceedings as well for Dev Summit. So for our Dev Summit proceedings, not only do we have the videos when you click on the sessions here, but we also have, if the session included it, we also have the presenters who presented the session and the topics that were involved in those sessions. You can also, if you scroll through and you can filter the type of video you're looking for or the name of the session you might be interested in. And you can click on it, and if they're, again, you can read about it, you can see the presenters who are here, and sometimes if they have them available, they will have the slides that you can review as well that are part of the session. So that's very cool. So you won't want to miss that. That's with our proceedings. And then finally, we're very excited to announce that we have our Developer Day being hosted on Wednesday, July 12th at Esri User Conference. It's a day of all developers. So we start off in the morning with a general session that kicks it off. And then we have sessions that run throughout the day there that are focused on developer technology. And then at the end of the day, we have our developer social, which is very exciting and being held at the Marriott Hotel. And this takes place in San Diego alongside our user conference. So we're very excited about it. You'll want to follow us at the handle that I have next to my name at Esri Dev Events to hear more about these events and everything that's happening while we're there. So we look forward to hearing from you and seeing you there. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Amy. Yeah, it should be really exciting. I know for me, this will be my first UC, but some of the other conferences, summits have been a lot of fun. And I hope to see lots of people there. So cool. All right. So we're going to move on to Raul now, who's going to talk about a hodgepodge of different things. So I'll let you get to it, Raul.
Yeah. So I just wanted to mention that actually yesterday night we published an article sharing our experience attending to a developer conference recently. We encourage you to take a look to the article. We share there some things that sometimes I think we forget about how exciting and is to go to this conference, what you can get from them. Even sometimes hearing about the different formats, like open spaces where you can interact with other developers and discuss about some really interesting things. So highly encourage you to check it out. Another thing I wanted to mention is that we are in contact with the team building all the developer certifications for Esri. For those of you that are not familiar with it, when you go to Esri training and explore the exams, we have some exams that are specialized on fundamentals, JavaScript and Python. I think those are great ways for some of us to prove our knowledge on the technology. And the news is that right now the team is going to start refreshing the curriculum of some of these certifications, and they are looking for people that are willing to contribute by giving their feedback on what should be included on the requirements to pass these exams. They are also they are going to be opening a beta period to subscribe and do the exam before it's publicly released. So you can go to Esri community on this side. You will be able to subscribe if you want as soon as you are logged in, and you will receive pretty soon the dates that they are going to be announcing. And the last thing I wanted to share is one project that we spent some time working on. Let me increase the font size a little bit. We were trying to build a project, sign off a different project this time to help you spend more time with your family and anyone, even not developers, to learn from geography. We have collected a bunch of different games on this website, which is the one that's being displayed in there. Even if you are able to speak other languages, like in my case, Spanish, everything is on GitHub, and we are willing to add more games. The more we have, the more fun. So I can promise you that you will have a very good time playing with your kids, or even challenging yourself playing with this game. So hope you enjoy and share this project with your friends.
Awesome. Thank you, Raul. Yeah, there's so many different games on there, and it really kind of, expands your mind into thinking, like you were saying, it's more than just naming like capitals and countries and that kind of thing. There's a lot of cool stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
It's time.
We are gonna. What was that?
It's time for Al to get on the stage.
Time for Al. I think it's time for Al. Yep. Sounds good. So Al is going to show us a couple new services. So let's check it out.
Okay, no pressure, right? No, this is awesome, and it was so nice just to see folks this year out at the DevSummit again, just in person. It's so nice to have all these opportunities, but as well just the handshake opportunities at the conferences. So yeah, if any of you guys were out there, yeah, highly encourage checking those things out. Okay, but today, what I want to demonstrate and talk about are some of the new ready-to-use services that we just launched in beta form last week. So I'm just here at the main REST API documentation page. I can go to ready-to-use, and then you're going to see a couple new cards here. So we have the Basemap style service version 1 and 2. So V2 is new, and then the places service. So both are in beta at this point. One thing I'll point out is that this is brand new documentation on the REST API side. So it's a new format and a new style. So we're pleased to launch this and to announce this. As we scroll through, you'll see that, this introduces the new style service, and we can see it's a brand new URL. It's a brand new endpoint. And there are also some new styles too, which we'll take a look at in a second. So you can use this endpoint to request either Mapbox style JSON or the ArcGIS web map JSON, so which is really nice. And it's a very RESTful API, so it's a little bit different than the V1 version. So yes, you'll have to make some changes to your existing code if you want to start using this today. So here's the basic REST request with the data source and the style. And as you go through the new documentation, you'll see that we lay out like all these thumbnails of the styles to make it like really easy for you to explore and just to see the plethora of style options that you have. So that's one thing. And then we can click over into the new REST doc itself. So this is looking at one of the endpoints, the new endpoint for navigation, gives you a little bit of information. And one of the fancy features is that we can now use a language parameter to make the language for places appear as we zoom in and out of the map. And I'll show you that in a second. So, okay, so that's what I want to show you sort of on the REST API side. If we jump over to the Mapping API Location Services guide, which is sort of the main guide that talks through all these things, you'll see there's a new section down in here that shows how to program and how to use the new endpoint. So here you can see the new styles endpoint. This is being displayed in MapLibra GLGS, and this is showcasing the new outdoor style that we have, which in my opinion, I think this is one of the most beautiful maps that we've released and beautiful styles. It's just gorgeous. So if you're an outdoor person and you're looking for trails and parks and land features, then I highly recommend taking a look at outdoor. And then OSM navigation is another new one. And then here's an example of blueprint. So again, the cool thing is at any point in time, you can go to a tutorial, or you can just grab this code and just drop this code into your app and go from there. Okay, so that's a super fast introduction of the new Basemap style service. And again, that's in beta. And you can go here to sign up to the beta program to get access to it and start using it today. Okay, on to the Places service. So this is even more exciting. So we announced this at this year's DevSummit, where we are going to release a Places service, which is specific for finding places around the world, which is super awesome. So again, just a new REST documentation on the back end, brand new endpoint to access, and then just a couple of requests here. And it's actually a really simple API to use. So I won't spend too much time here. I just want to jump over back to the Mapping API Location Services guide and just kind of step through some of the apps. So here's one of the live apps. And so here we can filter out by hotels or groceries or coffee. And if we want, we can kind of drill in to each of these spots, and then we can get the detailed information. I think that's the big difference between the new Places service and other services that we had in the past, is that we can actually introspect and get like phone contact information, hours of operation, what is the overall rating, price rating, or just user rating, email, and website information. So it's a really, really detailed database, as you would expect to find places around the world. So that's sort of one way for looking for places. Another way is to do what's called a nearby search, right? And this is kind of cool because we can enable paging. So if I turn on paging, then this is going to go through and it's going to find as many features as it can. Within the 200 actually is the limit. In this case, we're looking for dining and drinking and for particular bars. Or we could switch to arts and entertainment. And again, we can get all of this information back from each POI or place itself, which is the name, category. Every place has an ID, and the distance from the center point, which was searched, and then the location. So of course you can plot that on a map. The last one I'm going to show you is this bounding box search. So this is an example of searching the entire area of the map that's available. And we can do different things here. Again, we can enable paging and just going to research. So now it's finding all of the business and professional services in this area, and it's applying a little icon. Again, same kind of information. So, so that's, I guess, the service in a nutshell. There's lots of details we could talk about. But what I wanted to show you is at any point in time, you can click in these developer guides, you can click this little icon over here, and it opens up a new code pen. And the only thing you need to do, is you can see at the top here, is you need to drop in your API key to get access to all of the source code in the guides, which is, I think, really helpful. So I've done that here for, I guess, the main demo app for this chapter. And I'm just going to search here for pharmacy, and I want to show you how easy it is to extend this app. Like, let's say I wanted to add like a button over here, and I've got this array here. On initialization, what happens is this loop kicks off, and then we're building buttons on the fly. Oh, and by the way, this is using the Calcite design system. So if you guys have heard of Calcite, or maybe you haven't, it's basically like Esri's version of Bootstrap, if you will. So I'm able to build out these apps pretty quickly. So if you didn't notice, it just appended this pharmacy button here. That was sort of injected on the fly. And if we want to view this in full live preview mode, then we can see what this app looks like. And now we can search for pharmacies, get information about different health centers and pharmacies that are, in this case, in the Redlands area. So, and we can do other things too. We can do open searches. Like this one's kind of fun. This is searching for everything. Like just give me back everything. Of course, you can only get so many, and then we can kind of confine that to areas as well. So we can zoom in but it's always best, obviously, to provide some sort of filter. Like if I'm interested in automotive businesses and services, then of course I'm going to filter by that, and then I'm going to look at the detailed information that's provided back. So that's a very quick tour, and I promise it wouldn't be too long, and I'm over time like usual, but that's about it. So I wanted to leave you guys with that. If you guys want to join the beta program, you can do that at any of the pages in the guide. You'll see this beta program link. If you want to provide feedback on the content here, you can provide some feedback. Just say yes or no, that the page was helpful, and that helps us build better documentation for you guys and better apps and all that good stuff. So yeah, really excited to showcase some of these new features today for you, and yeah, hopefully you got an idea of some of the new stuff. So that's about it.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much, Al. I'm correct in saying that during the beta program, testing out all of this Places stuff is like free of charge, right?
That's correct. Yes. So you can jump in the beta program, sign up, and use the tool in different ways, build some test apps and so forth. And then as time moves on, then we'll release pricing as we move into final.
Cool. Awesome. Great. Well, we'd like to know what you guys think of these new, two new services that he just talked about, the Basemap style service and the Places service. So if you have any questions or comments, please throw them in the chat. We'll monitor that and respond. But yeah, thank you, Al. And we're going to move on to George, who's going to talk about the new Cesium integration. So, George.
Sounds great. Yeah, thank you, Courtney. So actually, I'm going to be talking about a couple different open source APIs, Cesium primarily, but I also wanted to shout out the MapLibre and OpenLayers guides first for adding client API support for those new services that Al just mentioned. So right here, we've got a MapLibre map, and I just wanted to show that it fully supports the new Basemap style service that Al just showcased. So here is the outdoors map, which I think is just beautiful. It's got different land cover types, and if you notice, part of the V2 service is that different languages are actually supported. I think over 30 different languages, or even almost 40. And we can use MapLibre to switch between them. If I wanted to switch my map to Chinese, then it's as simple as clicking a button. And I just think that's great. So yeah, if you want to learn how to create a MapLibre map like this, or create the same map in OpenLayers, we have new tutorials in the MapLibre guide, as well as the OpenLayers guide. This one on Unchained in the Language is called Change the Place Label Language. And it's really as simple as just setting the style parameter to the URL you want. So really easy to integrate with your open source apps. Yeah, and like I mentioned, the Places service is fully supported as well. And we have a couple new tutorials called Find Nearby Places and Details and Find Places in a Bounded Box. And that's supported across all of our open source APIs. Awesome. So moving on, I'm really excited to announce a new open source guide for a new open source integration with CesiumJS. So CesiumJS is our newest supported open source library, and it's a JavaScript library that allows you to visualize 3D data and display geospatial data in your 3D applications. So yeah, CesiumJS is created by Cesium, managed by Cesium Ion. So to use it, you'll need a Cesium Ion account, which is totally free. You just need to get an API key. And This new guide that we've created explains how to use CesiumJS with all of our ArcGIS location services, and every ArcGIS location service is supported in Cesium for the most part. So some location services that this guide covers, you can see we've got an extensive TSC over on the left, but it explains how to add ArcGIS base layers. These are like basemap layers, like what we just looked at. It explains how to access ArcGIS data services. So if you wanted to add features to your app, if you wanted to add 3D objects or integrated meshes, different I3S layers are supported. And then it also explains how to use a whole bunch of different ready-to-use services, such as geocoding or routing. Here's the new places service that we saw. And you can see we've got a ton of different services that this guide explains how to use. And I think there's like 20 different tutorials in here. And each one covers a different service or a different feature of Cesium. So I think this is a pretty robust integration. I want to jump in to one of these tutorials and show you guys a little bit more about it. So this is the change the base layer tutorial. And what this does is explains how to change the base layer in a Cesium application, and specifically how to customize the base layer picker here in the top right. So if you haven't seen Cesium before, this is what it looks like. It is, like a 3D globe with imagery. You can rotate around. Everything is in 3D. And we're just looking at the bay right now. But if we click up here, we can change the base layer to a different ArcGIS imagery provider. For example, I can click on Esri World Ocean, and this is our ocean base layer. You can see the topography of the ocean or bathymetry or whatever it's called. We also have a hillshade layer, and of course we've got imagery, which is our most detailed imagery layer. So you can use these in all of your Cesium applications. All you really need to do is set an ArcGIS API key as well as a Cesium Ion access token. So that's going to be true for everything in this guide. All right, so I want to show a couple more different tutorials just to give you guys an idea of how robust Cesium can be, how powerful it is. So next up, we're going to take a look at the Add 3D Objects tutorial. So I3S layers, 3D objects are a type of I3S layer, and I3S layers are integrated 3D scene data. It's an OGC standard of the Open Geospatial community, so they're fully supported by CesiumJS as well as ArcGIS, which is awesome. And what this tutorial does is it shows you how to add one of your I3S layers hosted in ArcGIS, in the ArcGIS cloud, to your Cesium app. So I have a layer here containing different building models for San Francisco. And this is hosted in ArcGIS Online, I believe, but you could also do this with an enterprise server. And we are just loading it directly into Cesium. So I can zoom and pan around. I can view all the different buildings. And you can see it's a pretty immersive experience of what it might be like to be, I guess, flying around San Francisco. All right, so let's look at one more example of a more advanced Cesium app. And this one is in the Find a Route in Directions tutorial. This tutorial explains how to find a route with the routing service. And the routing service is a ready-to-use ArcGIS service that calculates a route based off of the transportation network of the area. So you can see this light blue line is a driving route that shows directions for how to get from point 1 to point 2 on the map. And what I've done in this app is I'm actually using the routing service to calculate a route whenever you click. So we can make a new route by clicking over here, and then, if we click here, boom, we get a new driving route, and we get directions turn by turn for how to drive around. I think this is the city of Frankfurt. So yeah, some of the streets are in German, but you can see that we've actually combined this with another I3S layer displaying different buildings. And yeah, it's a pretty immersive experience of what it might be like to drive around. And Cesium is so powerful that you could even animate a car driving along this route if you wanted to see just what it's like to drive along the route. So yeah, you can really do a lot with this technology. And creating this app actually isn't that complicated. For this tutorial, we have step-by-step instructions that explain everything. The core of it is that you create a Cesium app, and then you submit a request to the routing service to calculate a route between two spots. And we go into a lot of detail here about how to create the graphics that you saw, like the 1 and 2 little billboards, adding click handlers. And really you can complete all these steps in about 15 or 20 minutes. So it's not even a big time investment to learn something new. So I really suggest that everyone watching goes to check out this guide. It's pretty great. Yeah, and there's a lot more tutorials, but I think that's all I'm going to show for right now. So thank you guys for tuning into Cesium.
Awesome. Thank you. Cool. All right, we're back on screen. Thank you, George. Yeah, that I'm gonna do a little brag real quick and say, you've spent many months on this entire guide. Like this is like your work, your prized baby. So great job. It looks awesome. It does.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And I do want to mention, so George was talking about some of the open source APIs and, how we offer the different support for them. So, the reason we do this at Esri is, we've heard from customers that they already use these APIs but they still want to use, like, say, our, different services. So we document that integration and that support to really just, help with that. We want to support you guys in doing that. So awesome. All right. Thank you, George.
Yeah, of course.
We're going to move on to Thad now. So Thad is going to talk about the real-time features within the native SDKs and some of the dynamic entities as well. So here we go.
Yeah, thanks, Courtney. There's a lot to talk about here with dynamic entities and reading data from a stream. So I'm going to kind of show you. I'm going to scratch the surface. Frankly, I'll try to show you some of the more advanced things you can do with it, and then I'm going to point you to a blog that I've written recently, which will give you some more detail and some code that you can check out and some other resources. So I'll go ahead and just start this as I begin to talk here. And so what I'm doing, I'm connecting to an ArcGIS stream service. And as the stream service connects and data starts coming in from the stream, as these observations come in, you'll notice the red dots appear on the map. So new to the API, this is 200.1. We have something we call dynamic entities, which Courtney mentioned. And a dynamic entity is a type of geo element. So it's like features and graphics. It has location. You can symbolize it in your map, and also has attributes. So you'll notice as the observations come in, they appear on the map. And then you'll also see some of the existing observations will move as they're updated, some of the dynamic entities. So this is all being read from the stream, from the ArcGIS stream service, and then updated in my map. So, I should also mention that attributes behind here are also being updated. So these are flights. I'm reading a flight service, flight aware data. It's actually a global service. So it'll show me flights from the entire planet, but I've filtered it here just to my current map extent. So attributes are also being updated, altitude, speed for those flights, anything like that. So I wanted to start by showing you sort of this basic workflow and then just showing you how straightforward it is to get here. So let me show you the code for this. This is C# for the Maps SDK for .NET. I should mention that this functionality is supported in 200.1 for all of our native SDKs except for Kotlin at this point, but that one's coming soon. So here I create a new ArcGIS stream service. This is going to abstract all the nitty-gritty details of opening a WebSocket and connecting to the service, reading the data, handling the connection, reconnecting if necessary, all that stuff. I just point to a URL. Here's where I set up my filter using the current map extent. I could filter with attributes as well, or just not filter at all. That's an optional step. Next, I have a dynamic entity layer. This is new in the API, and this is like any other layer you've worked with. So this is pretty straightforward. You give it a data source. Here, our data source is our stream service. I can apply a renderer. Here, I'm applying a simple renderer, but that could be unique value or class breaks as well. And away we go at this point. I add the layer to the map. Those of you familiar with the loadable pattern for Maps SDK will know that at this point, the layer loads. That causes the data source to load, which again is my stream service. That establishes the connection, and all the data start flowing at that point. And so there we are. So some other things you might want to do, of course, I might want to listen to that stream, and I might want to listen to observations as they come in and do something with those observations. I might want to track an individual dynamic entity. I might want to do something like here. I've shown a list of all the destination airports in a list. Since this is a global service, I don't want to show every single airport in the world. That would not be a good user experience. So I'm just showing what's relevant for the current map. Or I was looking for an interesting airport, like maybe Las Vegas. So now I can re-render the display here to show the red flights, the red dynamic entities are the flights going to Las Vegas. Everything else is in blue. I can populate this list again by just listening to the stream, listening to the observations coming in, and finding the ones that are going to Las Vegas. Of course, I could select it to show it on the map here. I'm tracking it in a scene. Again, I'm just tracking now just the selected entity by listening for updates to that, new observations for that particular entity. And I'm kind of cheating here a little bit. I build a 3D point using the X and Y, and then I get the altitude for the Z, and I put it in the scene view there. And of course, I can show all the attributes for that selected entity as well. Probably should have put more effort into cleaning up the UI on that, but so that's the basics. I'm sorry, I know, again, I could talk about this for hours, so I'll cut it off there and just point you to a blog here that I've written recently that talks about everything that I've shown you here. 8 essential techniques for working with streams, and I've covered the first 3 pretty much. There's other ones that you can look at. From here, you can link to the code that I've shown you, so you can clone this repo and you can play with it yourself. And I hope you enjoy working with dynamic entities. It's a lot of fun, and we're personally excited on the Maps SDK team to see what you guys do with it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Thad. Yeah, all that is really, really cool and exciting. I know when did I first see it? I can't remember when it was first debuted in a demo, maybe like Fed or something. I can't remember, but it's really cool to see the dynamic entities and how all that works. So thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, we are about finished. Before we go, I want to mention one thing. So I hope that you've enjoyed, hearing about all these new features today. To make future impactful improvements, we would like to hear from you guys. So if you have a few minutes to fill out our Esri Developer Experience Survey for this year, that would be great. You can let us know about how you use our products and APIs, what you find useful, what challenges you have, and with our developer tools and that sort of thing. So we will have the link in the description below. And that's about it. So this Esri Developer Experience live stream is a quarterly event. So look out for us again in a few months. And again, thank you all for attending. Leave any questions or comments that you have in the comment section below. And that's it. Thank you. Bye.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.